Yo, people, again, I'm here with Chris Moore, and he's got his girl. What's her name?
Champion. Ibulldog's Iron Maiden is her name.
There we go. Now, look, there's a process to managing your dog before it has a litter and after the litter, health and overall well-being. He's about to walk us through, what'd you say, the first 3 months going into all that. Just go ahead and break it down, man.
So for me, it's going into it.
Yeah.
It's about timing. So a lot of people, they call me and they'll ask me, hey, is my dog ready to be bred? She's a 22. Well, them numbers are random. So without any, backdrop, I don't know what I'm looking at. So, and there's different types of machines. And so those numbers vary according to those machines as well. So what you're really looking for is your doubling. So if you're looking for your progesterone numbers to double here, and that's what I look for. I used frozen semen last year, and on a female, prime example, she was a 2 on Monday. I tested her on Wednesday, she was a 6. So then I tested her on Thursday, she was like an 11. See how she's starting to double?
Yeah.
And then I tested her again, and she was a 20-something. And the numbers are doubling as we go up. And then when we hit 20-something, I bred her that afternoon. And we had 12 puppies off of frozen semen that was 15 years old.
15 years old.
Yeah, so
then walk them through a little bit about the importance of progesterone testing, because some people still doing it like the Wild Wild West, shooting in the dark.
9, what was it, 7, 9, and 11, or 9, 11, and 13.
But just even getting the test itself.
Yeah. So it's an easy test. For me, I learned how to draw blood with my volunteer work.
Yeah.
And so with volunteering, they taught me how to draw blood. You can either draw that out of the neck or the arm, and it's really simple, just like in a human. You hit the vein, get the blood, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. You need about 3 cc's. It's pretty easy to get. So you gotta, I guess we should go before that. If your dog is extremely obese, she cannot take from being obese. Or if she's extremely lean and ripped up, that is a side effect too. They won't get pregnant sometimes. You got, because their levels are off.
And why is that?
I don't know. I think it's just the body's way of saying, "Hey, man, this isn't healthy for me." You know what I mean?
So the female will reject.
Yeah. I think that it's just the body's way of protecting itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes people bring me dogs and ask me to get them pregnant because the way I do it is pretty spot on. And I'll be like, man, she might not take because she's extremely obese, or she's too ripped up. I mean, I understand you want your dogs very conditioned. I get that. Especially in the summertime, with the males being super ripped up and the heat involved. The reason that the testicles are on the outside of the body is to try to keep them cooler. So if they're that lean and they're that active and they're getting that hot, your semen might be bad. So, I'm jumping around a little bit, but, as far as the girl, just make sure she's in a decent, ideal weight. She can be a little overweight or a little skinny, but not too extreme on either one.
She got to be able to support the puppies too. That's the other thing too.
Yeah, healthily, you know what I mean? So, once you get that portion down, you bred her. What I do is I wait about 28 days, 4 weeks. I take in and get an ultrasound to see if she's pregnant. If she is pregnant, I change the way I care for the animal. Here, the dogs stay outside for the most part. When I know they're pregnant, in the heat, I bring them in exactly at 30 days. Like, hey, it's too hot outside, I'll bring them in. In the cooler months, I leave them outside more because it's cool outside. Why not, And then when I'm at like 60 days, I personally start doing reverse progesterones. 60 days from ovulation, sometimes is when they can go, you can take them out kind of early. That's the age-old question, is when they can be taken out. And reverse progesterone helps you with that. It tells you when she's ready. So once the puppies are born, as long as she's in good health, she should be able to take care of them. A lot of people fail to realize if you're doing a C-section, the mom goes to sleep pregnant and fat. She wakes up skinny and 7 to 10 things sucking on her, so she's a little perturbed, I guess you could say. She's a little scared. She doesn't understand what's going on. So you just got to take that into consideration, and work with your veterinarian, because there is medication that they can give you that will help you for the first few days down. They'll help you for the first few days to kind of keep the dog a little chiller. So that's something that I personally use sometimes.
Yeah.
I apologize, my children. So, Arrow, close the door, please. It's probably my daughter.
No, it's Arrow.
Yeah, this is my son. No, he really wants to be in the videos. Literally, every time we do a video, this is him. So after they have the puppies, the first few weeks are important. It's an age-old question of when do they maintain their own body heat. Some people will tell you 10 days, some people will tell you 14 days, some people will tell you 21 days. So you just got to regulate their body heat for them. And that's important for them using the bathroom. They have to be warm enough to defecate. Once they get too cold, their body is using, all the warmth they have to keep that stool, semi-malleable to come out the body. Because once it gets too hard, it's stuck like Chuck. And then if it can't use the bathroom, it just gets a really hard stomach, and it whines and all that kind of stuff.
And people, listen to your pups too. I know that at one point, I think we went too far with the red lights and the heat, and they became very, and they don't really make a lot of noise, in my experience, for the first week or so. Kind of noisy, but like if their puppies get real noisy in the first 72 hours, and you burning them up, cut that light off, and you be like, oh, then they almost go back to silent.
Well, the heat is important, because what we do is you put them in a controlled room. A lot of people have all these fancy Welvin boxes. I just use a regular old blue pool, man. Like, it is what it is. I go right to the Dollar General and get blue pools.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the season, I buy every last one they got. And I put it on top of the kennel, and I just hold on to them. For me, that's what works best. I've tried everything else. I've built all the little kennels, all the little boxes. I've done all that. And for me, I put them in a nice controlled environment, like in a closed room by themselves, so they can, feel comfortable. A lot of times people don't understand that, hey, when you had a child, or if you have children, you didn't want strangers just walking up to you. Like, hey, can I see your kid?
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Hey, I want to see the puppies. I said, this ain't that kind of show. This ain't no shelter, man. They got to go through a process, and I don't want the mom being agitated in any way.
It's nothing to do with the puppies, it's the mom.
Yeah, the mom. Like, Zara's not like, okay. She's not okay, so I'm like, she's protective. Like, get in the basket if you don't watch her and do something on accident, because she just wants to take care of her kids. So if too many people come in, it makes her uncomfortable in general, because I already don't keep around a lot of people. Now, she's socialized, but when her babies are here,
Stop.
It's like, no, you're going to raise her anxiety, and it's just too many things can go wrong.
Yes, I totally agree. Once they have the puppies, heat's the most important thing, and for the mom, it's just plenty of nutrition, because you got to remember, she's not feeding just herself. And try to keep her as healthy as possible, because those puppies are on her immune system at the time.
Yeah, she's being just worn out, people.
Yes, and side effect of being worn out is they lose their hair. Like this girl, her hair is growing back. If you didn't know that she just had a litter, you might say, oh, she might have a thyroid problem, because breeders call this the racing stripes. As she's losing hair on both sides. And it's more or less just because it's a hormonal thing, because she fed all those puppies. She had, I think, 8 or 9 puppies this time.
That's a lot of puppies, people.
Yeah, last time she had 12.
Ooh,
so she's a really good mom. I don't have to do much with most of my dogs. And when I have moms that are really hard to deal with, that's kind of when we put them in pet homes. I don't breed them again, because they just make your life so much harder than it should be.
Yeah.
Can you stop?
And guys, part of the other thing is he's been breeding for how many years now?
Over 20.
Over 20 years. You learn processes and create your own protocols.
That work for you.
That work for you, but there's some foundational things you have to know, and then some things like he said, hey, if I've got a bad mother, they basically increase your work. They increase your workflow, and if you've got quite a few dogs here to take care of, if somebody's got to watch this mom and the pups every 5 seconds, you sometimes have 2 litters on the ground, right?
Maybe.
You got 2 or 3 litters on the ground. Sometimes you can't just. Somebody got to help you make your life easier.
Well, yeah. Not only that though, you got to remember You know, when you have 8 puppies, just say hypothetically you got 8 puppies and you got a horrible mom. That ain't just one dog you're taking care of, it's 8 puppies. And it's important because you gotta make them use the bathroom, you gotta feed them, you gotta keep them clean. That's just the things that she does naturally. And, you know, you have, when I say bad mothers, you know, there's different levels of bad moms. And, you know, you have ones that don't want to keep their dogs clean, you got ones that don't want to feed, you got ones that want to literally make their puppies fight for it, which is okay. But when they're first born, that's not ideal in my, you know, when they're like a week or 2 old, that's okay. You know, it's teaching them and stuff like that. But for me, day one, fighting for a nipple, I'm good. Especially when, you know, you have 12 puppies. Yeah. And she just wants to sit instead of lay on her side and nurse with all the milk bar open. She wants to sit up with 2 nipples available for 12 puppies. Bro, the puppy's gonna look raggedy. So the other thing is a lot of people don't know that there's different qualities of milk. You know, we could have sisters. My dog could have like grade A style milk, and my puppies look healthy as a horse, like fat and lumptious looking. Where you have yours look a little bit leaner. That doesn't mean that she's a bad mom. She's just a different style of milk. People don't believe that, but I firmly believe in it. You know, the quality of the milk, how much milk she's putting out.
And would you say that the nutrition of the dog itself affects that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just like you eat crap, your kids are gonna eat crap. Unfortunately, it's different here. Fortunately, it's different at my house. I eat crap, my kids eat great.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just what it is. So a lot of, you know, for me, I want people to understand that whelping puppies, it's not hard. It's time consuming. And it's the little things that I've learned over the last 20 plus years, that little things that I want people to understand and people to take away from so they can learn it. So they don't make the mistakes that I've made. You know, I've had big ass whelping box where everybody and the mom could look over and, you know, the mom jump up and break a puppy's back. I've had that. I've had, you know, them in my living room where I watch TV, and that didn't work because it was drafty when you open the front door. You know, I've tried it all, you know, and for me, the safest and easiest way was in like a closet or a mud room where you can close the door and you can regulate who goes in and who doesn't go in, and just leave the mom be, because, you know, she just wants to relax. She's already stressed enough.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, the care of the mom is important too. I free feed the heck out of the mom, and, you know,
tell them what free feeding is, just so they know.
I just leave a full bowl of food at all times. And during the day, I'll put, like, you know, when they give birth, they lose a lot of blood. So I give a lot of liver for the first 2 or 3 days to help with that iron.
Cooked or raw?
Raw, straight out of the box. I mean, straight out of the bag from Walmart.
Now, people, even going back to why you don't free feed your dog other times is you want basically to put your dog, especially when he has as many as he has, on a system, right? So free feeding, when it doesn't apply to 15 dogs, it applies to, hey, we feed them at this time, that time, we know what time they got to poop per se. Yeah. So the free feeding in this case, when you got like you said, a pregnant dog that's coming off of pregnancy, they need access to nutrients, and they'll know what to do. So if it's there and they eat, that means they're dying on the inside.
Yeah, they need to eat, you know, because they're providing milk for all those puppies.
Yeah.
And this is important. You know, a lot of I mean, these are just things that I've learned. You know, I don't use heat lamps. I use heating pads. I put a heating pad on one side, so if they're cold, they will crawl on the heating pad and get warm, and the other half, so they can, if they're too hot, they can crawl over.
That's crazy. I mean, that's kind of what I put the heating lamp at an angle, 3 feet above the box, or the bag. We use a little cart thing the first couple of days where it's like a laundry basket thing. Okay. And couple heating pads in there, but they're light and they'll move away from it, but it's literally like an edge of the corner, because a lot of times the puppies will also keep each other warm. Yes. If they stack up. So when you're like, hey, they need to stay warm, if they bunch up together,
they're a little chilly.
Yeah, yeah.
So the rule of thumb that I was taught was, if you see all the puppies all bunched together, they are a little chilly. If they're spread out, they're probably warm enough. If they're panting, puppies can pant. A lot of people don't think that they have their mouth open. They don't pant like regular dogs. They look like they're gasping for air when they're panting. They're like, they like lick, like they're licking the air almost. And they're extremely hot. Oh, they're hot. But you can't cool them off like you cool off a regular dog. You can't just put wind on them. You just got to take them away from the heat. You know, because they don't regulate their own body heat. And that's the most important thing that people have to understand with newborn puppies.
So how do you feel about the infrared lights or the infrared temperature thing? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, you know. So the ideal temperature for a newborn puppy is what? You know, you'll get a different answer from every person.
Yeah.
I like keeping my room around 80 degrees, and that's all I really do. I'm not with the heating lamp. I do have a incubator. I do have the incubator set at 90 degrees when I bring it home. And if I have a puppy who is struggling to, you know, thrive, a lot of times it's because he's not maintaining a good body heat. He's not usually getting warm enough, or he's starting to dehydrate. So I put him in the incubator for a few hours. I hydrate him, you know, with some sub-Q fluids and see what happens. And then normally they just turn right around because it's like, oh, okay, everything's starting to move again. The organs are starting to kick up again, and the defecation is happening.
Even the pooping part of this puppy stuff is almost, I mean, it's one of the most important things. It is super important that you're like, hey, did my puppy take a shit today?
The textbook answer says that your puppy should poop at least 1 inch a day.
1 inch a day.
So, I mean, that sounds stupid to most people, but that's literally, I mean, when a puppy's only this big, you know. But now, obviously, it varies for sizes, too.
Yeah, like a Mastiff might poop 2 or 3 inches a day.
Yeah. and you got to take that into consideration, people, when we're talking about dogs, and each breed is different. You know, dogs that are, you know, brachiocephalic.
Yeah.
Brachiocephalic. They're going to breathe differently than a German Shepherd. Yeah. They'll get hotter faster than a German Shepherd. Just like when they're grown, they will too.
Yeah.
So those are things that we have to take into consideration. You also got to take into consideration the size of your mom versus the size of the litter. So if you have a Frenchie who's only 25 pounds, and say she had 6 puppies, which is a hell of a nice size litter for a Frenchie. Yeah. When they get 2 weeks old, if they're healthy, or they're gonna suck her dry. She's gonna like a bag of bones. So you got to take that into consideration, and you want the puppies to be healthy, but you also want your mother to be healthy too. So you don't give them unlimited access to the mom.
No, I think again, my research and just the people that I know that live in the Frenchie space specifically, some people think the Frenchie is pretty, like the regular dog. They eat all the time. Frenchies do not grow like the big dogs either. No. So we're looking for, like my bullies, they literally almost grow 2 to 3 pounds a week, if not more. And you want them to do that, but the Frenchie, as you said, in 2 weeks they get healthy. Healthy don't mean they need to overeat. Yeah. So that means you put them on that every 4 hours now of eating, if not longer, because you just need to keep them growing and healthy and watch their whole, face.
Well, everybody has this answer that, hey, puppies have to eat every 2 hours.
Oh, no.
That ain't the answer.
No, that definitely, because I forgot the term, but there's a term where you could basically overfeed your puppy as well.
Yeah, or underfeed them. They can go hypoglycemic. Puppies, that's the big issue for puppies. If they don't eat enough, they become hypoglycemic.
And what is that?
Not enough sugar. Mm-hmm. So just like in a human, you know what I mean? So they the first day that they eat, they're eating colostrum. And I did a lot of homework on it. You can use serum, the mother's serum, the mother's blood to spin down in the serum, the clear stuff that comes off of the blood, and it can emulate, I think that's the word I'm trying for, colostrum. Yeah. I did a lot of people use plasma. Plasma, it's extremely expensive. It's sometimes hard to get. And it's frozen a lot of times when it comes, Yeah,
and I know that you said that the mother definitely needs to be sewed up at this time for sure. But can you do this at any time, or is it just within that 72-hour time?
No, you can take it. So the puppy, you can really only use. So the mom, she produces colostrum roughly for the first 18 to 24 hours. Yeah. After that time, the puppy, it's not really doing much for them. And you can use oxytocin injections from your vet to switch from colostrum to milk. It will speed up the process. It will contract your uterus, and it will speed up the process from going from colostrum to milk, because there's no real fat in colostrum. Yeah. No cholesterol, no calories in it. It's just basically sugar water. You know what I mean? And lack for a better term.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is. I ain't never tasted it. But when you put your fingers on it and you rub it together, it's like honey water. So, you want to try after about 24 hours. If you notice that you're not getting milk, you got colostrum, I would contact the vet and just you find a vet you can really work with and use oxytocin. Don't go too crazy, because if you give her too much and she starts producing too much milk, you can aspirate your puppies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now she's producing, when you only have 4 puppies, and her body naturally knows how much to create. They naturally know that, you know, because they can, based off of the feeding. All right, I only have 4 puppies sucking. I only need to make enough for 4 to 6 puppies.
Yeah.
They have 10 puppies, they'll make more more milk. So when you give them oxytocin, it's like tricking their body to make more than they should too. So just be careful when using oxytocin.
And so then, but when the mother also can get too much milk in their nipple, isn't it called mastitis, where they can get the
it's an infection. So one of the glands, one of the milk glands is clogged and it causes an infection. It's and then if you don't get it treated or you don't treat
cut the titty off.
Nah, too far. It will bust. It will rupture. It's pretty bad. It's pretty nasty looking. It will rupture, but they just put them on antibiotics, and normally after about 24 to 48 hours, you can use the nipple again. Once you get the infection out, you put like a hot compress on it. You know, women get it too, and I believe they put them on antibiotics and put hot cabbage on it. On women, they wrap their breast in like hot cabbage. Like, that's kind of funny looking. But what I do is I get an old IV bag, I fill it with regular water, I make it blue, I dye it so you know it's not IV fluid anymore, and you put it in the microwave. You warm it up and then you just put it on the breast and then you milk it out. That's an easy way of doing it. It works for me.
Yeah.
But make sure you dye it. 'Cause if you don't dye it, you think it's IV, you put that in the dog.
Yeah, that's not the move.
Yeah, that ain't the move. That ain't what it needed at the moment.
That's
But
the move.
I mean, you can dye it any color you need. We just dye ours blue, so I know it is what it is. So
That's good. Well, look, this is the first video on basically starting in basically getting to that space where you're about to breed a dog. I know that there's vitamins and there's AK, B, C, all kinds of stuff that you could do to continue.
fat soluble vitamins.
Yeah, fat soluble vitamins that you can give your female you want to give her. Health is, your wealth in this case, and it is imperative that your female can maintain her health throughout the 8 weeks, and realistically 3 to 4.
9 weeks.
9 weeks. 9 weeks. You heard it first. Now, again, people, I'm here with Chris. Chris is a guy who knows a lot. Him and his wife, they've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to highlight people, as I said, who I believe can help us all, including myself. I don't know everything, and I don't want to know everything. The more I know, the more I realize I don't know. But his experience, bar none, helps us all be better. And that's what we're doing today, starting something so we can continue to educate you people who are breeding or who are not breeding, that just want to know how to be better. I personally jumped on YouTube and tried to find a lot of information, couldn't find it. So I had to go find the people. He's one of the people. I literally have searched the ends of the earth to try to find. And you know what? People pointed me in the direction of some good people, and he's one of them. And there'll be a lot more coming, so stay tuned. Go and kill that.